Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto. Thank you for joining me today. All right, so we've had kind of the little second wind in Bitcoin starting here. Obviously, that first wind is the bounce here off of 6,000. We put in a little pennant over the past couple of days, and now we started to break out of that pennant. Although it looks like we had a little bit of topping action right here. You can see that one big volume spike just kind of putting in the top. We're living under that little section right now. So a couple lines I have drawn here. This is the immediate trend heading upward into this declining trend line, which almost coincides with this top over here. So we'll have to see what happens if and when we get up to this point in time. If we do roll over and fail, obviously that is that. But if not, if we can continue higher, that would be pretty good for Bitcoin. Now, is this the ultimate low in Bitcoin, 6,000? I don't know, guys. Nobody knows. Nobody knows for sure. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good, but so far it still isn't behaving any different. It still isn't behaving really any different than some of these other bounces. Now, the only thing going for it over here, which is a positive, this is a positive for Bitcoin. There's a little bit more volume to the upside than there was over here. If you notice, this whole base had very, very flat volume. So a volume accelerated quickly here to the downside, and then volume very quickly fell off. Here it's a more steady decline. It's a more steady decline, but we are still seeing overall lower volume rising up here. So generally that is not a good thing. On a break of this kind of a pattern, I would like to see more volume to the upside and not with immediate what looks like topping action, but it's really too early to tell if it's topping action. This overnight session, maybe it will be boring. Maybe it will be interesting. We'll have to wait and see. But still just fighting the same fight. I still think you're a little more cautious here than you are aggressive, to be quite frank with you. Especially up here, I definitely would not be making position decisions right now, especially just under this higher high. You could put a double top in and just as easily start to drift, and that would not be good. So Bitcoin's still fighting the good fight. Let's take a look at some of these other altcoins. I'm going to look at the ones on the GDAX mainly because I think those are some of the leading coins, in the GDAX being or supposed to be an institutional platform. I think you get a good feel for things. I'm going to start out with Bitcoin Cash, which actually is looking very much more bullish than Bitcoin or even some of the other cryptos. Let's take a look at all this nice volume coming here to the upside. This is more like what I would like to see with Bitcoin. I would like to see, so here's the bottoming volume, and actually from this bottom when Bitcoin was at 6,000, this thing rose like 80%, 83% to the upside to this little spike high here. Very good volume over here coming in. Let's zoom in a little bit here. So very good volume here, and put in a nice little triangle, started to break out. Kind of a topping candle there, but overall this is still much more bullish than Bitcoin. We do have a higher high, so here's the previous high, here is the higher high now. So we do have a higher high right now. We'll just have to see what's going to happen with this. If Bitcoin can actually stay flat and just not go down, then I think you're going to see some really good moves in Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and maybe Litecoin will catch a bounce. But Bitcoin Cash looking very strong up in here. The bounce below 1,000 was pretty short-lived, actually, pretty short-lived. Good volume break to the downside. Some people picking up Bitcoin Cash down here, seeing some real value in Bitcoin Cash. And then Ethereum, while we don't have as much bullishness, we did actually go up quite significantly from these low levels right here. Went up 55%. I believe Bitcoin was up about 33%. Put in a symmetrical triangle, broke out of that quite significantly on decent volume. It's not the best volume, but it's decent volume, and it's need to get away from these dots here. So, and the volume did accelerate to the upside when we went up out of here. This is what you want to see. You want to see a little bit of higher volume area. So as you can see in the base, you have declining volume, then rising volume coming out. That is better than kind of what Bitcoin was doing. It's not, so yeah, it's just not, yeah, I guess it's a little bit, yeah, it's going up a little bit coming out of this base, but this was the base right here. This was not the base in Bitcoin. This was the base. So breaking out of this base, you have an instant topping candle, then two low volume candles. So yeah, so generally still not rising volume coming out of that base. But like I said, with Ethereum, you have a little bit of rising volume out of the base. If Bitcoin can stay if Bitcoin can stop dropping like a rock, then again you're going to probably see another nice move out of Ethereum. It's also very close to its intermediate term trend line. Maybe a break out of that would be pretty good. Then we're going to run into this trend line here. If Bitcoin stay, and all this is predicated on if Bitcoin can stay positive. And then last but not least, we come to Litecoin. So Litecoin breaking this long declining trend line here. Now, does that mean we start to go crazy in Litecoin? It does not. If you've only been trading cryptocurrencies for under 6 months, then maybe you're not aware of exactly how market cycles work. And I have a market cycles webinar, guys. Go take that webinar. It talks about it in depth in terms of how market cycles change, how to spot them, what to do during transition periods and things of that nature. But Litecoin here doesn't mean it's going to jump right back up into new highs. It can do a number of things. It can also go lower. It can also go lower if Bitcoin decides to have a conniption fit here. But so far, Litecoin looking pretty healthy here, putting in a W pattern, putting in a handle before crossing this trend line. We have a little bit of a bounce here. It's not a lot. It's only 8%, but not horrible. And kind of like what I said before here, we have low volume in the handle and then high volume escaping the handle on the breakout here. So Litecoin looking pretty good here as well. Overall, the weakest is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin still kind of rules the day. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish some of these altcoins would trade on their own merits. Unfortunately, it's just not that kind of market. So we do have to live under Bitcoin's rule. And part of this, I think, is the fact that, didn't mean to touch that. Part of this is the fact that I think that while Bitcoin's technology is kind of waning and it's really behind in terms of, now we have second generation crypto, which is Ethereum, and the third generation. Some people are calling themselves fourth generation, mainly as a sales tactic. But I think eventually Bitcoin's technological problems will catch up with it. And I don't know if that's happening now or not. It's just a lot of speculation, to be quite frank with you. Maybe I shouldn't even have said it, but I just find it interesting that while Bitcoin isn't exhibiting a lot of bullishness, you're seeing these altcoins really trying to move. And unfortunately, Bitcoin is going to put a cap on that if Bitcoin cannot get positive or cannot at least stay neutral. If Bitcoin can stay neutral, then I think you'll see some decent moves, especially in coins like Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, there's my video. Thank you for joining me today. Appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time.